TheBeefTeam, your favorite gaming channel that nobody asked for and very few people have heard of as of the recording of this video, that is. We are back once again for another installment of Storytime, this time again with Windows 98, talking about some cartoons. Want to go ahead and introduce yourself just in case people missed the last episode?
Well, if you missed the last episode, we are talking about Adventure Time and regular show, kind of that era of Cartoon Network. The way that we feel about characters and the way that we feel about, like, how the stories or emotions of the episodes and stuff were driven through. We're just kind of, like, doing little, personal hot takes on Adventure Time and regular show, an era that we wish we could go back to.
Honestly, though. Let's see. So we're talking episodes this time, right?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to start out talking about just like the first episodes, and then talking about how they kind of shift in dynamic as time goes on.
All right, yeah, we'll go ahead and start with you because I think I started last time.
Yeah, so with Adventure Time, right? It has like my favorite, like, okay. So between the opening theme song and the first 30 seconds of the first episode, it's kind of like this explosion of information that you just kind of have to deal with, and none of it is explained. But that makes it like a perfect first episode, because not only do you see, Finn and Jake in the theme song, right? But, theme song, you get Ice King, Marceline, the Candy Kingdom, the Lady Rainicorn in the intro. The theme song beginning title for Adventure Time is this really, really information-packed scene, right? Yeah. So the first time that show comes on, you see all of that. Then, that wasn't enough. The beginning of the first episode has Lady Rainicorn and Jake, like, outside of the house, right? And Jake is, a dog, and he becomes huge, so you're, like, immediately, like, established, okay, so titular dog, he can just morph his shape, I guess. Yeah. Main guy, just a normal human. Interesting, but alright, we got this. It also sets up the idea of the Candy Kingdom. So you have so many characters introduced, visually, and then throughout the episode, you have a pretty good cast of characters down. I mean, even Starchy the Gravedigger, who is always brought up whenever there's the Candy Kingdom involved, right? There's always Starchy. And he's just an adorable old, like, caramel drop. And then it has people like Princess Bubblegum, who is, a fairly prominent character. It has the kind of shenanigans that would be involved in the very first episode that would be kind of the theme throughout the season. Finn and Jake, they chillin', they doing they thing, and then they have to try and struggle to, like, both overcome some odd mythological challenge like zombies, right? Yeah. And at the same time, deal with silly things like a 12-year-old boy has to keep a promise he made to a pretty girl. Yeah. So it's a really good way of, like, establishing the thoughts or the way that the show's gonna go down, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just, like, one of my favorite first episodes. My favorite episode of that season, though, would be the one where Marceline comes back and reclaims the treehouse, because that's the introduction of another person from that theme song, and she gets a banging song. Oh my god, like House Hunting, fire track, absolute flame. But no, that's like my favorite episode of that thing, because it also sets up the dynamic of, okay, there's a lot less wacky shenanigans here, but there is a crazy aggressive vampire who actually turns out to be pretty chill, and, like, every 11-year-old boy's first goth GF crush, either her or, like, Gwen from Total Drama Island.
Gwen hits different.
She definitely, like, she hit the niche for the time. You know what I mean? Like, early 2010s, late 2009s. That's exactly the kind of thing that they were going for.
Oh my god, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even the second episode of the show, Trouble in Lumpy Space, it gives you more characters, more story, right? But it's all very introductory. And so, what I really like, I talked about it a lot last time, is the way that characters grow and develop. They grow and develop at the same speed, your knowledge of the world increases. And
I love
that's
that.
awesome. I mean, what do you think about like the way regular shows first episode goes about?
So I think that, like, Adventure Time probably does a better job of establishing things. Like, knowing what I know now about regular show, the layout of episodes makes a lot of sense. But like, the first episode is not in chronological order. It's just a random. It's just like a random episode, and it's just like, here you go, you're thrown into this world. When it starts, it's just Mordecai and Rigby screwing around in the room, like, basically, like, macho wrestling a doll. And that scene is really funny to me because it doesn't really say a lot, but it tells you just enough to get a sense of, like, how they are as characters and how they interact with the world around them. Like, it's very clear, that Mordecai is an underachiever, not necessarily a screw-up, but just an underachiever and very unmotivated. And it's kind of contrasted with Rigby, who at the start of the show is just like an idiot. so
Yeah.
it's kind of this, it creates this weird dynamic where, I mean, they play really well off of each other, but it's just kind of like this funny dynamic of like feeding into each other's worst qualities at the start of the show. So like, they're messing around, ends up creating this situation. Like, they put a hole in the wall basically, and then they put a hole in the wall, and then they're like, all right, shit, we need to get raises. So then, normally in this situation, you'd be like, oh, they're just going to ask for a raise, because that's the regular thing to do. But the twist of regular show is that anytime there's an option to do the normal thing, the character will almost always choose to escalate the situation. And then by the end of what is really only a 10-minute episode, it just is, like, completely off the walls crazy.
Yes.
So, like, okay, so, like, with that kind of, like, basic structure in mind that's established in the first episode, The Power, bringing us to my favorite episode of the season, which is I don't remember the name of it specifically, but it's like the barbecue episode with the hot dogs. Benson is like, who's the boss, is just like, guys, I literally only need you to bring these hot dogs out and put them on the grill. So what happens is they bring the hot dogs out. Rigby lies to Mordecai and it's like, oh yeah, man, Benson told us to cook these. So then Rigby, who, mind you, is kind of an idiot at the start of the show, attempts to cook the hot dogs by pouring grease all over them and then lighting the grill, which causes the hot dogs, obviously, to explode. So that kind of leads them into going into the meat locker to get more hot dogs. And Rigby, basically the whole time, Rigby keeps saying, like, I can fix this. And Mordecai is just getting progressively more pissed off. So they end up in the freezer room, looking for hot dogs, and Rigby, was supposed to prop the door open, but he doesn't, and they get stuck in there. So obviously Mordecai's pissed, and Rigby's like, nah, dude, no, I can fix this, like, I got it. So then they just kind of like, it gets into the situation where it's like, not necessarily testing the friendship dynamic, but just is definitely like pushing the envelope in terms of Mordecai's patience. And it ends up creating the situation where, Rigby has to like save Mordecai from, Rigby's mistakes. So he ends up dragging him through this freezer, and he meets up with these hot dogs that are like, oh yeah, dude, we know the way out of the freezer, but you have to like fulfill this prophecy basically. And the prophecy is essentially just that they were meant to be eaten. So then they go through this portal, which is basically just like a cooler, and they end up back at the park. So everyone's down there waiting for hot dogs. Benson's about to start cooking them, and then the hot dogs start attacking everybody. And Mordecai and Rigby are like, what the fuck's going on? Like, why are you attacking everyone? And then they basically reveal that the prophecy was a lie and that they wanted to eat them because they always ate, like, hot dogs for 4th of July and killed their ancestors. So then it just starts this, like, ridiculous hot dog fight. And then, you know, like, they're cornered and they're all cornered, and it's obviously looking like, you know, the end for our heroes until Rigby, you know, against all odds, fixes the situation by squirting the hot dogs with mustard and ketchup, which then cause them to cannibalize each other. And I just really like the episode because I think that the plot is ridiculous, but it also is kind of like the beginning of, like, the early seeds of Rigby, like, growing up and growing as a character, having to fix something.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that. The way that I've always thought of regular show episodes, right, is regular enough problem starts, regular enough scenario happens, then it has this ginormous spike in, like, ludicrousness, right? Like, oh no, we're just goofing off and we made a hole in our wall. Oh man, we need money for that. Maybe we should ask for a raise. Okay, let's come up with this idea where we do a sing song and dance, and then we say, give us a raise, loser, which is already enough to, like, you know, progress it a little bit more, like escalate the situation beyond just normally asking. But what they find out is that, like, everything they do with that, like, keyboard that they play comes true. So then it, like, goes into, like, instead of just a small escalation, it's a huge one. And then they start using it for insane things, all the way up until the show's climax, or the episode's climax, where they accidentally send someone to the moon because it rhymed, and everything comes true with that keyboard. So they it's like, it's crazy, and then, like, it at the end of the day, the solution was just, you guys don't get raises. Like, it's almost an anticlimax for, like, whatever the result of the show is. Later on, do you remember that show where they're trying to, the episode where they're trying to get the highest score on, like, Broken Bones? Whatever that motorcycle game is?
Yeah, Bobby Ferguson. Hell yeah, dude. Oh my god. That episode really
A floating head comes out of nowhere to challenge them for his title.
Yeah, I was gonna say really quick, just as an interesting point of trivia, the guy that episode is based loosely off of, you know, Billy Mitchell. The
King of Kong, yes.
Yeah, he was accused and found out of having cheated for some of his records. So they kind of made that episode poking fun at him, just because it was like, haha, you know, you cheated, loser. And he actually sued Cartoon Network over that episode because they were like, they're making fun of me, this is defamation.
That's so funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's like...
It did look like him, yeah. But no, it's like a regular issue. They want to be really good at a video game. Insane thing happens. A floating head grows arms and legs to challenge them for its title. Then, small, less extraordinary thing happens. He comes up with a fake lie about his wife leaving him for the game. Then it escalates again because they beat him anyways, and he explodes.
Oh my god.
Climax, or the end of the episode, Benson walking in saying, I'm not going to give you a raise because I'm covered in brain goop. Clean this up. Crazy big thing happens, and the show ends as regularly as it started.
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, and then I think, I forgot to mention, but, like, with the episode, you know, The Power, like, the episode ends by, like, Benson being so angry that he slams the door, all of the drywall and the entire room falls off, and then they're like, Hell yeah, dude. He's never gonna notice the hole now.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's like this giant curve, like a bell curve looking thing for insanity of a regular show episode, because almost all of them end like normally.
Yeah.
I would argue Adventure Time does not follow that same path. Adventure Time kind of goes all over the place with its insanity, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about the setting of the world of Adventure Time, right? Like, regular show, just wacky things can happen, right?
Uh-huh.
Just unexpected wacky things can happen. Adventure Time, all of that stuff is expected to happen, you know? They see something insane that you've never seen before, and every time that happens in Adventure Time, they immediately call out what it is, whether it's a crystal golem or a grass ogre or house people, right? Like, there's all kinds of things in Adventure Time, just random races, fish people, candy people, vampires, demon. You just take it at face value because they just say what it is. Like, fire wolves and snow golems, they exist. They bring them up in an episode, one of the most heart-touching like episodes of Adventure Time, by the way, and it barely has Finn or Jake in it. But like, there's just so much like crazy, fantastic stuff that happens, and like fantastic in the fantasy setting of Adventure Time, right? That each episode doesn't like hold your hand through explaining things. It just kind of says it, and you are expected to deal with it. And I kind of like how bold of a move that is. Like, with regular show, there's like a curve to it, you know what I mean? Like, there is, like I was saying earlier with the episode structure, beginning, it goes, woo! You're allowed to follow it, but you know that it's going to go back to regular at the end, right?
Yeah.
Even the episode where they, like, pretend to be astronauts, the lesson they learn at the end of it, right? And I really think that, like, becoming regular is where it, like, chucks in that moral thing you're supposed to learn. But, like, with regular show, right? Like, they pretend to be astronauts because they saw they got a burger faster. They do something insane. They end up realizing, maybe I shouldn't pretend to be an astronaut because their burger was what saved their life from, like, the universe imploding because of a black hole.
Yeah. I definitely see what you're saying with, like, regular show, because, like, a lot of weird shit happens that's just like, that's really strange, but sometimes they just don't address it. Like whenever the weird stuff does happen, they just treat it like it's normal. Like, in The Power, when Mordecai and Rigby have the keyboard, and Mordecai's like, well, where'd you get it? Or, no, I think Rigby's like, no, Mordecai's like, where'd you get it? And then Rigby's like, oh, I stole it from a wizard while he's peeing. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Wait, what?
Exactly the kind of stuff that would happen in Adventure Time, but like on Adventure Time, it would be like presented on screen.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they show it happening, but they just, like, they don't address it. They're just like, because, because, like, in Adventure Time, they treat stuff like that like it is a normal part of the world, whereas in regular show, it's like, it's obviously not, but they just don't, like, they just never address it. It's like,
it's supposed to be crazy in regular show and make you go, what? Whereas in Adventure Time, you're just supposed to be like, snow golem, of course. Or, yes, Wizard of Ice Ninja, of course.
Yes, Gunther the Penguin.
Yes, Gunther is, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert or not, but, like, yes, Gunther the Penguin is, like, observed by Marceline's dad. He's like, you are a pure being of unfiltered evil. I have never encountered the likes of you before. Join me and we can rule all of Ooh. And you're just supposed to hear that and go, okay. And then they don't talk about it for 4 seasons.
Is there ever any payoff?
Oh yeah, there's a big payoff. I don't know if I should get too into it because it's kind of awesome.
Don't spoil it. If there is a payoff, then yeah, don't.
I'm just gonna say it's something that everybody knew, and it's that Gunther the Penguin is a very special penguin.
All right, yeah, I'll take that. let's see. We are hitting the 20-minute mark here. I've locked myself into a trainer battle, so I have to finish that before I can actually save. Do you have any parting words for the end of this segment?
For like episode structure, maybe. Yeah, if you get in tight with Peppermint Butler, Death will be friends with you. So do that. That's a good idea.
And then I guess worth mentioning, just as like an obvious thing, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen either one of these cartoons, what are you doing? Go watch them, at least one of them. Like, come on.
You can get a Hulu subscription free trial for enough time to watch at least one.
Yeah, I mean, I binged regular show in 3 weeks, and that was like while I was doing college. It's not a very good time commitment. Like, it's not a big time commitment at all. Most of the episodes are 10 minutes.
If you're feeling burnt out, watch regular show. If you're feeling like you want to be a kid again, watch Adventure Time. Because that's the biggest thing I can say about Adventure Time is it'll just fill you with this big sense of wonder and amazement every single episode. Whereas with regular show, while it isn't the same kind of wonder and amazement, you do get a big sense of like fulfillment, and you're like, that was nice.
Wow, I got hit confusion 3 times in a row. This is not Cash Money. I'm trying to end the episode.
It's okay. We've already finished talking about the cartoons. Let's just talk about how you're bad at video games now.
Oh my god, no, not again. Not again!
Did you know that I beat the Beef Boss in a game of gun game on Call of Duty Black Ops 2, where the only way that I could hit him was if I was dolphin diving?
No, shut up. No. Oh, you totally would bring that up as the thing, alright? Listen, I'm trying to think of an excuse and I can't right now. No, come back.
Yeah, there really isn't one.
Yeah, there's no reason that I shouldn't have won that game, but I didn't. So like, haha. Yeah, I'm okay. Maybe I'm a little bad at video games.
There was that time that we already talked about Green Mario, but that one's always a fun time.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it next time. Next time on Grump Games.
On Grump Games?
See you guys.
Next time on Grump Games. See you Friday.